Hi, hello, how are you? If you don't know me, I'm Holly. I'm the founder of Amplefolk, and it has been a long time since I have jumped onto this platform to have a chat. And the reason for that is, gosh, there's a few. So I want to talk you through that. But first I'll start with a little bit about where Amplefolk started and where we are now. So I first had the idea for Amplefolk during lockdown in 2020. I discovered exercise basically for the first time. Having been plus size my whole life, I couldn't find anything to exercise in, certainly not a sports bra. And so I decided to design my own. This is the sports bra I'm wearing right now. And so in 2020, that's when I started the business, and the process took a really long time. It was really expensive. It was a very difficult process to create this sports bra. And across the journey, I also noticed that it was really hard to find a towel that fit me properly. And so while I was sort of waiting for the sports bra to come to fruition, I decided to launch towels. And so in 2022, we launched towels on pre-order. They sold out in less than a week. We then did another round of pre-order, also sold out in less than a week. And then we started our rolling sales in April of 2023. So 3 years ago. And we've been selling towels ever since. We've also done cover-ups. We've done our first drop of our sports bra and our leggings. And yeah, it's been really incredible to connect with so many people who are also in a large body and have also had the same sort of struggles and issues as me. I'd never really had plus size friends before this, and it's completely changed my life and my friendship circle. And so it's really just honestly been like a hugely healing thing for me, in terms of accepting my body, learning to live my life in the body that I have now, and to also honestly recover from a very, very long-term eating disorder. So that's a little bit about where we've been. And I have been missing from our socials for almost 18 months, just definitely over a year. And I just sort of wanted to recap on why, and then talk a little bit about like what the plans are for Amplefolk, because a lot of people are sort of wondering like, what's going on? Like, where are you? You're almost sold out of all your stock. Are you coming back? Like, are you leaving? We're not going anywhere. But things have been tricky. So, aside from all the regular small business dramas of it all, which anyone who owns a small business or has worked for one ever knows how hard it is to run one. So I'm going to leave all of that to the side, because there's some other stuff on top of all of that that's been going on. And the main thing has been my personal health. And so I actually, for the majority of last year, I was unable to walk or stand. And it sounds really intense. And I mean, there's certainly people a lot worse off than I was. But it really derailed my life. And basically, long story short, I had a slip disc in my back. It happened at the end of 2024. I don't really know how it happened, and I'm actually going to explain a little bit more about it in a new podcast that we have coming up. But I'll get to that in a minute. And so it was, around then, end of 2024, and it sort of progressively got worse and worse and worse. We had our Jiggle Club, event in February of last year, which was basically the launch of Jiggle Club. We were hoping for Jiggle Club to be this incredible community initiative where we were going to host events and run workshops and things like that. And our first event was a huge success. It was incredible. Anyone who came along and took part in it would know just how much fun it was. It was so emotional for me to be in the same room as so many incredible plus size people. It was just the most magical, special thing ever that honestly I've ever experienced in my whole life. And so that was a huge success, but I was quietly really suffering in a lot of pain already by that time. It had been a couple of months and my pain was escalating, and things got progressively worse over the next couple of months. By the end of March, I'd had an MRI and they discovered I had a slipped disc, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, all of that to say, My mobility got worse and worse. I stopped being able to drive in about May. And then by July, I was in hospital. And no one could really tell me what was wrong. They kept saying that, the slip disc doesn't really match this severity of these symptoms. Like, it was all just very confusing again, which I unpack in this podcast episode that I mentioned. But I ended up, having some treatments in hospital, in the middle of last year. And by September, I was sort of okay to start rehab. I'm actually just at the pool now, which is where I started my rehab in September last year. It's been a game changer for me. It's got me back on my feet, literally. So I thought it was kind of the perfect place to come at you with this update. So then, basically I started getting better and better. But throughout that whole period, obviously, I was not really able to work. And so poor Edie, who's our incredible chief of staff, social media manager, right-hand woman, PhD extraordinaire, most of you who are familiar with Amplefolk will know Edie. And so Edie was pretty much keeping socials afloat and doing what she could on the limited time she had. She was also studying her master's in London at the time. And so I just I didn't order any new stock. I just sort of let things sell through. And so, it was just survival, honestly. And that was all until probably, I would say, the last 2 or 3 months. So I then got to the end of last year and I was still in pain, but getting significantly better. I've now been off my pain medication since, I think it's been like 2.5, 3 months. And I'm slowly getting back on my feet. I walked, with my husband and our dog, just up the street to our local coffee shop to have breakfast on Sunday. And that was like a huge milestone, huge milestone. It was incredible. It was wonderful. And I really feel like I'm starting to get my life back. Although it honestly is a completely different life because so many things in my life had to be put to the wayside. We were trying for a baby before this all happened with my back. That obviously had to go on pause. You can't have a baby with really intense, high levels of medication in your system and being in so much pain. There were just so many things that had to go on pause. And Amplefolk was obviously kind of one of them. All of this to say, I'm sort of back. No pun intended, back. I'm working on being back. I am trying to show up more. This is my first sort of big attempt to show up more, and to be here for our community and to keep going with what Amplefolk is all about, which is to make the lives of plus size people better and to create products for them that work for their bodies and help them live their lives to the best of their abilities in the body they have today. And so, some updates on the business is that we have pretty much sold out of all our stock that isn't towels. So we've sold through the sports bra. We've got a small amount of stock of our leggings left. We have no cover-ups left anymore. And the sports bra, the leggings and the cover-ups won't be coming back anytime soon. So I basically, because of, this whole situation, need to focus on what has been working while I've been off. And that is the towels. People love the towels. They're buying the towels. The towels are good for everyone. They're good for the business. They're good for everything. And so, for now, while I am literally getting back on my feet and while the business is getting back on its feet, we're focusing on towels. And so, the other tricky thing is we've actually sold out of pretty much all our towels. So we have an order that is due to arrive, It is due to arrive next month. So it'll be here in about 3 weeks. in the process of all of this, I've had to make some pretty tough financial decisions with the business. One of them being that we were with a warehouse, like a 3PL, which we're no longer with. I've brought all the stock back in-house, so I'm fulfilling all the orders again, and all the stock lives at my house again, which is actually really lovely because I like having... It makes me feel closer to all the people who purchase through Amplefolk, and means that I can just make things better, better for the environment, better for the customer experience, all of that. The other thing is that our wonderful Edie is no longer a permanent part of Amplefolk, and that's obviously not because she's not incredible and the best. So please send Edie so much love, and she will never disappear from the Amplefolk universe. She's stuck with me forever, as she knows. But one of the ways she's sticking around is that her and I are launching a podcast under Amplefolk. So keep an eye out for that, because that will be dropping in the next sort of couple of weeks. And it's sort of a chance for us to gas bag and catch up, but also to connect with you all and to really explore that, I guess, the true essence of what Amplefolk is and what we're trying to do, which is to share stories, make our experiences in this world feel more normal, what even is normal, and to, just make the lives of plus size people better. So yeah, keep an eye out for that. But a few people have been asking me how they can support us while we're going through this, period of transition. A few people have noticed, like, that I've been absent, that Edie's been absent, that, they're just a bit confused. And the main way right now that you can support us is by pre-ordering a towel. So our towels are on pre-order at the moment, and as I said, the stock lands in about 3 weeks. But if you've been thinking about getting a towel, you've been thinking about getting another towel, I'm going to put on free shipping for 48 hours, and just as like a thank you for being here with us during this time of pain. But yeah, so I just wanted to fill you in on everything, and to just send my love, and I hope to show up here more and to chat with you more, and love you.